Hello, hi, and welcome to EmpathicFire. I am your reader, Jay. This is going to be a birthday reading for Taurus. What's going on, Taurus? How are you guys doing? I hope you are doing well. All right, friends, happy birthday to you, fellow fixed sign. What's going on? How's everything in your life? How's this quarantine going, friends? My gosh. Um, man, actually, I'm okay, but channeling in this energy that I'm feeling right now. Some of you are in a little bit of a struggle. Some of you are kind of like, this is it's fine to do this bullshit for Aries season, but Taurus season is right here. It's right around the corner. Actually, it's here. By the time you're watching it, it's happening now, or it has already passed. So, I think I feel like a lot of Tauruses were looking at what was going on during Aries season or even Pisces season, considering everything that was going on with COVID-19, coronavirus, and you've just been like, that shit better be done by the time it's my season. Plus, just in general, for a lot of us, stay-at-home orders, you know, Taurus is a domestic sign. You guys are very comfortable at home. Hopefully you are. And you guys value that. But ultimately, at some point, something's got to give. And I feel like many people, not just Tauruses, are like ready for that, something's got to give part to come in. But regardless of how you might be feeling, and regardless of whatever you're able or however you're able to celebrate, I hope that you do have an amazing birthday, Taurus. If you've got access to cake and ice cream, you know me, that's my favorite dessert. So have some on my behalf. That would be amazing. And if you are able to get together with friends and family, I hope that you're able to do so safely. And again, that you're around people who know and love you, and that you know and love back, and it's a wonderful affair for you. Okay. All right, here we are again, our yearly birthday shindig. It's not really a shindig. It's just me in this room. So, but anyway, here we are doing your yearly birthday reading that I do for you guys. I'm gonna go live for you guys in about 2 weeks. Look for that update or that announcement on the community tab so that you can join me in the live chat. I'm gonna announce this now because for those who are unfamiliar, there's a timestamp in the description box. If you want to jump ahead, go ahead and hit that because we're just gonna get familiarized because we haven't had this particular reading for Taurus in a year. And I don't even know what I said to you last year. I barely know what I said to you for the April reading. So anyway, let's get into it. I've shuffled off camera and I've meditated off camera. So we're just going to get reinstated with your energy, Taurus. Like I said, I do feel a little bit angsty. I do feel a little bit like over this moment in time. However, your energy actually feels also kind of balanced. So we're going to see if that actually plays through in the reading. But yeah. Guys, if you're new to the channel, thank you so much for stopping by. Like, share, subscribe, and comment, do all that fun stuff that YouTube allows you to do. It helps me grow as a reader. If you want that personal reading, it's in the description box below. And I'm going to have to start clarifying this because I keep getting this question over and over again, or I just keep getting these emails. If you want a personal reading from me, you have to pay for it. It's kind of the purpose of it being personal. I'm not anybody's, all free all the time tarot reader. Like that's not really the point of a private. The private you pay for. The general that's open to the public, go ahead and have it. Watch it over and over again. It costs you nothing. But if you're seeking a personal reading from me, understand that you will have to pay for it. I don't know why I have to clarify that. I think it's pretty simple down there in the description box, but some people just don't understand. So enough about that. Let's get into it, Taurus. I think we'll do a couple bridges just to reinstate the energy. Which again, it's like, your Taurian nature, that bull that's inside of you, that bull archetype that exists inside of you, is just like ready to burst forth, but also not, like really you're not tripping over this. Like you're really still cool, calm, and collected, but you would prefer if things were to like become a little less restrictive in your time period, it feels like, okay? You're making do. Let's just put it that way. You're making do. But let's see what's really going on. Taurus, let's see messages for your birthday period. And again, happy birthday, whether you're celebrating in April or May. Going from April 21st through May 20th, what are the messages for Taurus? Please show me these messages today. Wow, gonna go all the way to the bottom of the deck. Gonna start this over. Got you. Oh, there it is. All right, so that's card one. 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. No bottom of the deck. We'll get an oracle at the end. All right, so some of you might not have been here for the birthday reading last year, and I probably did one. No, I started birthday messages in 2019, I think. Anyway, it's meant to be a tier. Each position has a particular meaning. We'll go over it as we introduce each card. And I hope you're able to pick up on the little bit of a theme that I try to create when I made this little construction, whatever it is. But let's go ahead and flip everything that came out. So that's position 1, 2, 3. Cut my nails. It's always a mistake. 4, 5, and 6 at the top here. And I don't know why I straightened them all out when I would have to just do this again. Silly me. I'm not always the sharpest tool in the shed, let me tell you. Perhaps I've got... No, never mind. I'm not going to make that joke. All right, guys, let's get into it. Taurus, coming into your birthday reading for your birthday period in 2020. Here we go. Your first card is the Hangman, or in this deck, it's called the Hanging Man. And is it not going to focus? First card out? Come on, friend. Don't be like that. Thought we were friends, new camera. Oh, new camera, please. Please. You have to there he is, the Hanging Man, also known as the Hangman. This is secondary major arcana for Pisces, so some of you might have an interest or a relationship of any type with a Pisces, but you don't have to. And I'm saying that so strangely. Ooh, I gotta tell you guys, I've asked my guides to level me up and change my way of reading a little bit, and it feels like kind of brand new to me. But anyway, the Hanging Man. For you, this first position, Taurus, is basically what's coming into you. Like, what are you bringing into your birthday period? What are you already familiar with? What are you accustomed to? What has been on your mind? What have you been dealing with? What possibly needs to be overcome or has been a persistent struggle for you? You know, take your pick on how that resonates with you. But this Hanging Man indicates that change of perspective, needing to possibly refocus or reprioritize something, needing to see things from a different standpoint in regard to possibly a connection with another person, or just issues at large, or issues that are pertinent to your life. This feels like, you know, where we were once very comfortable and we understood who we were, or we understood what our role was in a dynamic, in a relationship, in a business, in a society, in a culture, what have you. And now we're kind of like, I don't know about that. There's a lot of questions that happen when we get into the Hanging Man position. And sometimes this can be uncomfortable. Sometimes this can be unwanted. You don't for some of you, you don't necessarily want to be so contemplative, or you don't want to be so in a state of reflection. It's just like, I'd rather be doing something else. But hello, COVID-19, okay? Many of us, regardless of sign, practically all of the earth, or a vast majority of people, for the past, I was working today and my boss told me that we've been working from, for me personally, I've been working from home for 6 weeks. So some of you, maybe that's like 8 months, or 8 months, God forbid, 8 weeks. So some of you, this has been like a full 2 months by the time you're watching this, or by the time you can remember what it was like in April 2020, right? And that being forced to be at home, beyond just you, Taurus, everybody has been forced to get into a little bit of this reprioritizing, refocusing, considering what are the things that I'm needing new perspective on, fresh eyes on. Is there something I'm missing here? Is there something that I'm neglecting here? Thank you. That's a very good word. Neglecting. This feels like there could be an issue in your life, a relationship in your life, an aspect of yourself where maybe you were neglecting it. Maybe you were putting it off, you know, procrastinating, getting something under your control. It feels like under grasp is what they wanted to say, under grasp. So kind of not possibly having a handle on your finances, just as an example, because I'm not really into it just yet. My ear is ringing though, so that's kind of interesting. So maybe that means something. So some of you may have had issues with your finances, and now, you know, I don't know what your job status is. I don't know if you're working. I don't know if you've been laid off. I don't know what it is, but there could now be like this huge highlight this huge highlight over your financial situation. And, maybe you were on the brink of foreclosure on a home, and now that's compounded and actually exacerbated because of the COVID-19 situation, maybe. Or maybe you were considering what to do with a bunch of money that you had in your bank account, right? You may have been considering where to invest, and then now the things that happen with the stock market and things, people are like, this is going to be the next Great Depression here in America, and economies across the I was going to say the nation, across the planet, across the earth, are actually affected as well. So it's not just here in America, it's everywhere. So there's just this reconsidering, restructuring, or at least getting a game plan together. Thank you. Getting a game plan together for how to restructure, for how to step back into the world, right? Step back into some sense of normalcy or some sense of, regular normal life, and how to move forward in a smarter way. This feels like you really, 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 okay, how many reallys do you want me to say here? Thank you. But you really want you really want to do this in a smart way, Taurus. I feel your planning is almost impeccable. Or thank you. Related back to what I was saying before, I actually laid any cards down here when I was telling you about your meditation, how I feel like there's this pensive energy to get things going. Like there's this anxiousness to like, okay, enough of this quarantine shit. I'm ready to get back out there. But there's also this part of you that's also like, but I don't want to go too soon, because if I jump the gun here, or if I move too quickly, things might fall apart. So there is this element of cautiousness around what you're doing, around what you're planning. And again, this is your first position. This is what you're bringing into your birthday period. So for the past, like I said, for me, 6 weeks, I'm not a Taurus, by the way. I'm a Leo, for those who don't know. But for maybe the last 6 weeks, 4 weeks, 10 weeks, however long it's been, what have you been building up to? What are the foundations that you're laying for yourself? Or what are the things that you're reconsidering, that you're trying to look at from a different angle? And I feel you are either challenging yourself, or the universe, source, God, spirit, Buddha, whatever you believe in or don't believe in, has challenged you against your will, against your your desires. And that, whichever way you cut it, whether you're proactively challenging yourself, or you feel challenged from outside sources, or you feel challenged from a spiritual level, from a external space in some type of way, it doesn't really matter. But you're facing this challenge, I think, in a smart way, because yours is the first reading I've done in a while, at least with this first card that I've encountered, where I get this energy of someone who says, you know what, I'm not going to bullshit around about this. I'm not going to procrastinate about this. I'm actually going to try to make, like I said, to lay the foundation for something better to come. This is when we get the Hanged Man, we get this point in our life, this phase, this period of time in our lives, and it comes for all of us, and it comes in different ways. But this is a time for us to really analyze and question, but then also kind of seek answers. Well, I mean, that's the same thing. When you question, you're seeking an answer. So yeah. So you're seeking answers and you want to get it right. It can be uncomfortable. It can be anxiety inducing. Okay. It's not necessarily easy for everybody, but for the majority of Tauruses that I'm connecting with, it's fairly easy. And I think it's because you made up your mind before you got into this space, or you made up your mind soon after you realized, well, I'm going to be home for the next couple of weeks or the next few months, so I might as well do X, Y, and Z. And again, for some of you, it's really about your finance. It's really about how you spend money, what money comes in, what money goes out. What are you prioritizing? What are you prioritizing in terms of cash? How are you spending your money? What needs to be taken care of first and foremost? And that's the other thing. A lot of people are having to make those judgment calls. If you've been laid off, or work has slowed down and you're not making as much as you used to, and perhaps you have a family that depends on you, perhaps you live alone, it really doesn't matter because bills are bills, right? But I think it would be a little bit more tense, or like I said, anxiety inducing, if you have a family that depends on you. So I'm like getting images of like families, children out of school, children need to be fed and clothed, but your hours are cut. The other person, your spouse, your live-in boyfriend, girlfriend, whoever else contributes to the household, it feels as though the strain has put everybody in the house in this way of having to rethink how can we get what we normally have, groceries, bills paid, making sure we have enough money in case of an emergency, what have you. How can we make these contingencies? Because, our situation for the time being is altered. Whoever this is, not all Tauruses, again, it is quite a general, but whoever is in this groove that I'm in, it's like, it's like, it's really adaptable. Let's say that. I'm going to say it that way. You're really adaptable. You really like quickly got on board with, okay, well, this is not going to, okay, because at the beginning of this, people were like, oh, they're not going to close this job. They're not going to close the schools. Then what? The next day you wake up and it's on the news. All schools are closed, right? It's kind of like, okay, as soon as that news breaks or broke to your ears, Taurus, what I'm sensing is somebody immediately was like, okay, immediately cancel that service, immediately cancel this, immediately pull money out of here and put it over there. It's like all of that. And now that those initial moves have been made, now we're kind of in the, okay, so you want to be ahead. Yes, you want to be ahead of it. You want to be ahead of the next hurdle. Thank you. You want to be ahead of the next hurdle. That's what that feels like. Okay. Now your second position is sort of like your present moment. The first position is kind of what happens in the past, previous to your birthday time period. Your second position is what's happening in the present moment, what's happening during your birthday period. Where's your focus? What do you need to, what is really pertinent to your situation? What is really drawing your attention, or what needs to be focused, or not even focused on, but what needs to be overcome potentially? You have the Two of Pentacles in your present moment for your birthday period. So kind of what I was saying, you need to make these choices, or rather, not that you need to make choices, but you are analyzing and considering what to do. Again, here, not even again, for the first time. Pentacles. So for the first time, Taurus, God, this is coming out wrong. Not for the first time, but at the front of your mind. Thank you. For the first time. Although maybe for some of you, it is the first time that you're making certain decisions, certain judgment calls, maybe. But at the forefront of your mind is, again, where's the money? How's the money coming in? How much is coming in and how much is going out, and towards what is it going to, what is it going towards? If you have, and these are just things that we have to consider, right? Let's say you do have a family home, a family situation, and you've got 2 cars. Let's just say that. And one car's, one for the one parent, and maybe you've got like the family car, which you all ride in, right? Considering how possibly strapped for cash you might be, or you might think you might become, you might let's say the insurance on the single car, like the sedan, you might let that lapse. You might, take that car off of the policy since it's going to be sitting in the driveway for 2-3 months, something like that, and leave the insurance current on the SUV or the minivan or whatever it is. This is just an example, by the way. I'm not, saying this is every Taurus in the world. It can't be that. But it feels like certain judgment calls about absolutely cutting certain services or reprioritizing how money is allocated, how money is distributed within a household. If you were paying, God forbid, if you were paying, and I'm not saying God forbid as if you shouldn't, but I'm saying God forbid for who would be receiving this. If your kids, your teenagers, your adolescents or whatever, right? If you're paying for all kinds of iPhones and all this other kind of stuff, canceled, your line is canceled. You're in the house, you don't need it. But mom, nope, no, because, there's something here about retaining resources or making sure we have enough to stay afloat. And as much as you want to be, looking at all the TikToks in the world and, doing whatever you kids do on their phones. I don't have children, so I don't know what they do. But, it's kind of like you're not going anywhere. If you want to be social, we still have a landline in this house, or if you need to talk to somebody, you better hop on Messenger, use this rinky-dink, what do you call it? Do they still make? Yes, they do. What do you call those? Pre-made. No. Prepaid. Thank you. Prepaid phone. You might, swap that out for your kid. Like, I feel someone here is being super savvy with their money in order to maintain a household, in order to make sure that everybody can remain as comfortable as possible. And again, if you're dealing with adolescents or teenagers who are like used to, texting whenever they want, or like I said, watching things on their phone, on their smartphone, and you're like, here's this prepaid flip phone, cost me $20, cost 5 cents a month or some shit like that. Who knows? Then they're like, what? It's got Snake. Play Snake. It's a great game. Play it. So regardless of your family situation or money, the bigger story behind the Two of Pentacles for you, Taurus, is making smart moves, period. Some are to do with money. There are other things that Pentacles can represent in tarot, can represent how you invest your time, energy and awareness and investment in terms of your health, right? So some people, here in the good US of A, right? The good old US of A, a lot of people have insurance that is tied to their job. If you lose your job, you lose your insurance, right? So there's this feeling that some of you, you might be on that marketplace. I've not visited, knock on wood. Yeah, I don't have to do that, but I know that is what some people are having to do. They're having to turn to Medicaid or turn to Obamacare here in the States, and they're trying to sign up for something, but see, not going to get into it. Get out of that. Thank you. But there are tough choices in how do I move forward and what do I invest in, or how can I properly cultivate and draw resources to me if resources are short. There you go. If resources are in short supply, hard to come by, scarce, right? How can I assure that I and my family, or whoever I'm caring for, whoever I'm responsible for, is taken care of as well? And that's a big thing that's going on here. So this is weighing options. This is going and investigating different pathways, looking into unemployment benefits, looking into SNAP, or what used to be called the WIC program here, right? And seeing what resources are there. For small business owners, I've been watching the news. I watch it once a day because any more than that is too much. And from what I'm gathering, if you're a small business owner, you're in here trying to get loans to cover the basis of and keep your doors open, while big corporations or big franchised restaurants, such as Ruth's Chris, right? Huge steakhouse here in America, allegedly one of the best, top quality, and they're getting these loans. These multi-million-dollar chain restaurants, they're getting loans, but like the mom and pop, and even then, whatever. I can't get into it. Thank you, because we could go on and on. We're not going to do that. But just trying to find different resources and get them into your life, apply them to your situation, get the benefit of them, is consuming a lot of you. Or you spend a lot of your waking hours thinking about it. You spend a lot of your waking hours putting practical action towards it. And again, a lot of you, this is about money and finances and stability. Others of you, this is about time. So maybe, you could be someone like me where you're fortunate enough to still be working, but you've been transitioned to your home. So now it's like having to get a new routine together. And let me tell you, it took me like 2-3 weeks to get into this routine, because I thought, I'm at home, I'll just breeze through the day and it's going to be nothing. No, it was really hard for me to like restructure my brain and be like, no, we really got to push through, and we really got to finish this. Because you're at home and you think, what's 5 minutes here or there? 5 minutes turns into like 20 minutes where I haven't done a damn thing. And I'm like, oh no, my production is tanking a little bit. But anyway, so something like that, where how much time you dedicate to a specific task during your workday, how and when you're going to, especially if you have children. Again, a lot of you guys have children. How are you going to not only hold down your full-time job, but then also still be the teacher to your child? Now, that's not to say that a parent should, I'm not trying, it's just speaking more to the likelihood or the system that is at play here in America, as is with many other countries, where school is essentially childcare. I mean, you're educating our children and you're giving them vital information that they're going to need for their life, and some information they're never going to use. Let's be real, right? But those carved out 7.5, 8 hours, or even more if your kids are like in, sports or other activities, right? All of that is time for the parent, for the caretaker, for the guardian to go do other things, make the money, do the grocery shopping, do the laundry, do whatever when the children are not around. But when children are in the home, I'm feeling for some of you, this is now like this guy, he's juggling these two pentacles. You're juggling your work day. If you got older kids, it might be a little bit easier because they're a little bit more self-sufficient. But if you got elementary school age children, it's like, holy hell. I again, don't have kids. And this is just kind of what I'm assuming. It's kind of difficult to make sure you're doing your job, but then also making sure that your children are eating, they're reading what they need to read, they're doing the assignments they need to be doing, they're not screwing around, they're not, marking your walls up with Crayola crayons and all this other kind of stuff. It's like, it feels a little overwhelming. And it's just a Two of Pentacles. So that's kind of interesting because twos are not meant to be challenging energies. They're really about choices. They're really about coming to terms with, making a decision one way or the other. You either go this way or you don't. You either choose this or you don't. Like, it's very black and white, right? And I feel like that's not really possible because, okay, that could be it. That could be it. This preparation could have been with the Hanging Man. The preparation could have been knowing that certain sacrifices and choices would have to be made in a very black and white fashion. So going back to that example of like telling your kids they can't have their cell phone anymore and letting, insurance slip on the one car that's not a priority. Like the secondary vehicle gets parked in the garage. You're going to lapse on your payments or whatever just to save money because you need that money to feed your family. Like, that's a very real decision that some people are having to make. And it's just an example, right? But it's very black or white. You either do it or you don't for the sake of whatever your goal is. Yeah. That's what this feels like. It feels like Taurus is like, I have to make hard decisions. I have to reprioritize, have to refocus, have to restructure everything that's going on here. And I have to do it fast. Thank you. And I have to do it like right now, which is interesting because the Two of Pentacles and the Hangman are not quick energies, but I feel like your mind might be faster than your reality. There you go. I said that. You're trying to get ahead of the hurdle or something, whatever I said. You're trying to anticipate any roadblocks, anticipate any trouble in the water, anticipate any type of adversity you'd have to come up against. And you don't want to be held back. You don't want to feel as though, you're being put in an even worse situation because you didn't prepare yourself. Thank you. That's what this is. So your preparation here in the Hanging Man, sort of looking down sight and seeing the terrain ahead of you and knowing which way you need to go. Making those tough decisions with the Two of Pentacles, or making those decisions that, alter your physical reality or alter your schedule. Again, because Pentacles is not only money, it's time, it's your physical body or your physical surroundings. And it's just like making sure you don't have too much disruption to those places or to those aspects of your life. That's what that feels like. So again, I'm connecting with these Tauruses, and it's not all of you, but it's a good portion of you in the general collective that will see this, that you're kind of on the money with it. And I'm proud of you because, a lot of people can lose their shit in a time like this. A lot of people have lost their shit, literally and figuratively. A lot of people have lost a lot of things and aren't coping very well. But I feel I'm connected to an energy that is coping pretty dang well for the most part. Not all of you, but for the most part, you're coping pretty well, or you're doing the best that you can. Let's just put it that way, okay? Now your third position, Taurus, is, if you haven't noticed, it's what's going to be coming towards you after your birthday period, what you have to look forward to, aka your future position. It might be something that helps you. It might be something that hinders you. We're going to find out. Give me a second. I need to grab a drink. But yeah, so what's coming down the line for you? What can you expect in the near future after your birthday period? You have the Seven of Cups. So here we go. Kind of back to this, I wouldn't say back to life as normal, but certainly back to what feels like both a breath of fresh air, but then also kind of like, oh no. Because when we get to the Seven of Cups, we expand from going from 2 to now 7, right? And this 2 is about solid choices, and the 7 is about options and choices as well. So you've really like ramped it up very quickly. Now, how's this applying? So for some of you, this is going back to the workforce. Maybe you've been laid off, and maybe, in this time where you've had job insecurity or uncertainty, right? Maybe you've put your resume out to several new companies in different industries or something like that. And so you might be, for lack of a better phrasing, spoiled for choice. Now, I'm not trying to say, the world is your oyster. It might be, but some of you might get some callbacks about a job over here, a job over there, and a job over in that company. And you might have to really consider a lot more than you were anticipating based on the offers that you get back, something like that, right? Um, so that's for jobs. For others of you, this is like, this is kind of dangling in that new normal energy a little longer. Because I think most Tauruses are like, okay, I'm going to make these changes for now. It's not sustainable. Thank you. Going back to that idea of the people with like small business loans and what's being offered here in the States to help small business owners, right? I think that's what that is with the hand. Oh, this camera gets on my nerves sometimes. But I still love it. It's still a good purchase. Anyway, yeah, small business owners, right? So, yes. Wait. Oh, shit. Did I just lose the thought? I might have just lost the thought. Yikes. Right. Okay. So having to make certain changes, right? From what I've understood about small business, or what's facing a lot of people who own businesses, right? Laying off employees and possibly in some cases having to file for bankruptcy, right? Whatever you have to do in the now, how that will affect you going forward. Will you be able to open up as soon as the quarantine is over, as soon as social distancing guidelines are a little loosened, right? And one of the industries that they talk about the most is restaurant industries, right? So I think it was the California governor, Newsom, I think, he was like quoted as saying, when we do open up, I want people to be prepared for this new world that we're going to be living in, where it's just not going to be back to normal as soon as people might think it is. We're still going to have, tables set far apart. You might get a menu that's disposable. It's not like an actual menu that stays at the restaurant. There's going to be different, I think, well, he didn't say this, but, you can kind of roll it into this. There's going to be new contingencies on sanitation and health, especially in these, public places like bars and restaurants and public transportation and stuff like that. So there is this feeling for you towards going back out into the world, because I'm not making predictions on COVID-19. A few people have asked, and I'm just like, I'm not a time teller with tarot. That's just not my strong suit as of yet. But I really feel it's probably going to start to loosen up by the tail end of Taurus season. So end of May, I feel as though many things will start to loosen up. And I think that there's this feeling that, Taurus, many of you, fixed signs. Let me tell you, we're cautious. We get a lot of flack for many things, but we are careful. Not super impulsive, not really the types to just, speak first and ask questions later. No, it's like, if I'm going to do this, if I'm going to do something, I'm going to be sure of it. And when we get to the Seven of Cups, there's a little bit of uncertainty. So there might be a little bit of blowback based on choices that you made previous with the Two of Pentacles and the Hangman, right? There might be some, there might be some confusion over exactly how effective your choices have been, and that's, more to the point of what the Seven of Cups is. It's like, not in the same phrasing of spoiled for choice, but I mean, look at the different qualities or different elements that exist in all of these cups. You've got fire, bubbles, a dove, a vine, a rainbow. You've got all kinds of things in these cups. So there's this aspect of possibly not knowing what awaits you based on what you choose to do now in your current moment with the Two of Pentacles, right? So when we get to the Seven of Cups, it's kind of like, well, did I make the right decision? Or now that I have made a certain decision with the Two of Cups Two of Pentacles, going forward, which of these cups is going to sort of partner well with my previous choices? Does that make sense? So questioning exists coming out of your birthday period. So May, June, July, August, September, going way down the line. However far into your future it's going to resonate, who knows? It might just be one day after, or for some of you it could be like several years. I'm not sensing consequences. I'm not sensing any type of punishment or any type of backlash that's, super harsh. But what I'm more sensing is you possibly still questioning yourself or feeling unsure of where to go after you've made an initial decision, right? So after after, just as an example, for some of you, you may have never have had to go on food stamps or WIC or SNAP or whatever they call it these days, right? You may have never had to have done that. You've always been able to provide for your family, for your children, for yourself. Well, you can't get WIC or SNAP for an adult. So let's just go with your kids, right? So you may have never have had to do that before. And now you do it. April 2020, May 2020, now you do it, right? And let's just say by July, August, you get a job again. And you're back, but it's not the job you had. You make less money, la 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 la. You're kind of sitting there like, well, I make money. Like, I feel as though in that specific scenario, very specific to that scenario, there's something about a stigma about being on public assistance that someone feels like kind of dirty about, like, ugh, like that's not for me. That's not for me and my kids. Like, I don't need that. I mean, I'm glad it's there for other people, but I don't need it for me. This is like the energy I'm connecting with. So it's kind of like now you're in this pickle. You're working, but you don't have as much money coming in. I mean, because you had to live off of your savings for about 2.5 months, right? So it's kind of like, should I stay on the public assistance? Should I stay on the SNAP program because it's helping me feed my kids? But I work. My husband works, my wife works, whoever works, blah, blah, blah. We're back on our feet. But again, if you've tapped into savings, if you made a decision to tap into savings, or you made a decision to file for certain loans or whatever, it's kind of like troubling or confusing or adding another layer of complexity, thank you, to future decisions. And not really being comfortable. Yes, going back to the contents of the cups, being unfamiliar and not uninspired, disinterested in the contents of certain cups, certain choices. Like, sometimes we got to do that. I'm not trying to make light of how you feel or say it's an easy decision, but it's like this thing of like, I've made this one, there it is. Did I say something about the consequences? I don't think the consequences are terrible, because it's cups, right? So that's emotional. So emotionally, you feel there's a consequence. To your physical reality, Taurus, I don't think there's much of a consequence. In this specific example, please, peel out what you can, but this is what they're giving me. Of going on government assistance, right, for a while in order to supplement for the loss of money that you had to incur over the last 2-3 months, whatever it is. Yeah. For me as a human being, there's no shame in that. That's kind of what the program is designed to do. It's not meant for people to live off of, but many people do because that's the reality. If you're a person who is able to use it for a time being and then eventually progressively get away from using that program, what's the harm? What's the shame? I'm just questioning as an outside person. I don't know what your values are. I don't know why some of you might be resistant to it, but that's what I feel. I feel someone is like, I don't want this handout. Or once the handout is given, I don't want to have to keep coming back and asking for more handouts. Maybe that's it. And it doesn't have to be SNAP. It doesn't have to be food stamps. It could be just simply going to the food pantry like once a week. You know, you can get certain things from the food pantry for free, but you're kind of like, but we're not poor. Like somebody has that, see, okay. Somebody out here has that mindset, that quote unquote old mindset that is being challenged anyway from the hangman that says, this is for poor people. I am not poor. This is for this type of person. I am not that type of person. Yet here you are in this reality having to make these choices that from your old mindset is for those types of people. Now, I'm not calling you a snob. I'm not calling you anything like that. This is just what it is. This is just how many people feel. It's not about anything to do with socioeconomics or politics or race or anything like that. This is just the way certain people think, right? That's old. That's dated, outdated, and erroneous. Because I don't know who needs to hear this. Or maybe this is something that you will be confronted with, some of you. Maybe someone is judging you in this way. Maybe family members or friends are like, hey, did I see, when I was driving, home from the store, did I see you at the food pantry? Did I see your car at the food pantry? And you're kind of like, yeah, I was. And somebody's kind of like, oh, I didn't know it was that bad for you. Like there's something here where someone's being judged for something that they had to do in order to survive, in order to keep a roof over their head, in order to keep food on the table, what have you. And now after that new normal, quote unquote, new normal comes in, now there's like a judgment on the backside of it. It's very interesting. And that there's a little bit of shame, a little bit of guilt I'm feeling with that Seven of Cups as I get further into the energy. I don't like it because it's stupid. It's really counterproductive to even get into a battle or get into a disagreement or get into some feeling of, this isn't for me. Well, nobody expects to live that life, but I mean, I don't want to get into like some kind of heated debate here, and I'm here by myself, so there's no one to debate, but I don't understand truly deep down if you are hard up to put food on the table, or even going back to the small business loan. Maybe some of you have a certain amount of pride where you don't want that help from the government. Why not? It's being offered. These are dire straits. These are uncertain times. It is helpful to you. It's not a forever situation. It's not the government saying we're going to help you with a loan every quarter for the next 15 years to get you. No, it's like a one-time loan, a one-time thing that we're going to help you with. Same thing with SNAP or the food stamps or whatever you want to call it. You don't have to, first of all, you can't. If you eventually get back to a certain earning potential or annual salary, eventually you will, out earn it. I don't know. I want to move on from this because it's really specific, again, to like money, finances, how you pay for things in your home, the priorities in the money, and what it provides to you. And someone is like a little bit ashamed of how they're coming to earn and take care of their house. It's very interesting. Let's move on. Your fourth position, Taurus. This is, these two go together, 4 and 5, they have the same meaning. So this is your first gift, the thing that's coming to you, that you've asked for, that you've worked towards, that is meant to help you, that is meant to guide you, that is meant to encourage you in your future endeavors, so to speak. Okay? So the first one is the Nine of Pentacles. So here you go. Talk about earning, talk about being sufficient or self-sufficient, talk about being not rich, but comfortable. Now, the Nine of Pentacles is traditionally in tarot, it's the single ladies card. Everybody, knows that song by Beyonce, and she's just like in her power in that song. And you don't have to be a female to experience this. You can be a male. But this Nine of Pentacles is self-sufficiency. The Nine of Pentacles is, I don't need anybody. I'm able to provide for me, for mine, for whoever. If you don't have children and you got a gerbil at home, cool. You and the gerbil, you're living the good life. Now, that's your wish. That's what you want. I feel that's pretty much coming to most of you. Not all of you, but most of you. I think whoever I'm connecting with, you may have been hit with a curveball due to the coronavirus, due to any shakeups you've had in your employment, due to, again, having to put food on the table and just keep the basics coming into your house and making sure people are fed and clothed. That may have been a challenge. But the Nine of Pentacles is an abundant energy. It's a person, and it feels like it's mostly you, Taurus. I don't think this is I don't think this is anybody else. If it is, maybe it's like a friend or a relative who could help you, but I feel it's mostly your own energy. Nine of Pentacles is abundant, is able to provide, is a provider to the self and others, and the source of which is coming from your careful decision making. These two, if you haven't noticed, there's a structure on this board. This Nine of Pentacles touches the Hangman and the Two of Pentacles. Therefore, they feed into this energy as we proceed up, right? So based on your careful decision making, possibly having to make some tough decisions, some tough calls, you get yourself eventually back into this abundant stage where you do get that job that you applied for. You lost whatever job you lost during the quarantine, during, downsizing or whatever, you get another job. Now, for some of you, maybe you're not making as much as you did at your previous job, but you have constant income coming in. It is regular. We're back on the payroll. You know what to expect every 2 weeks. It's not like that $1,200 gift we all got and that's it, and get out of it. This is not a political channel. Anyway, so it feels as though you get another job, or you get a certain opportunity, or some of you, you use that stimulus money or that small business loan money, and you parlay it. I always say that. You transform it, thank you, into something that is really sustaining. So maybe, you had to downsize your staff. Maybe you had to cut 60% of your staff at your job or at your business. Going back in, maybe you don't hire back 60. Maybe you don't put yourself back at full capacity. In this time that your business has been shut down or reduced, you have had to do careful examination and consideration of what to do going forward, how to make things work at a trimmed fashion, or at a trimmed pace, let's say, right? Or trimmed staff, something like that. This is smart. All of this over here is collectively smart energy. It's very savvy. I don't see you faltering. Many of you, most of you, thank you, they're correcting me. Most of you are not faltering in terms of finances, in terms of your physical capabilities, or not capabilities, world, your life, your livelihood, your body, your house, your home, all that stuff. Careful planning, as well as making tough decisions, is going to see you back on your square. And if you didn't have it before, that'll come to you. Now, again, I'm not predicting everybody who's seeing this is going to be a millionaire. No, that's not what I'm saying. You will get to the point of whatever your lifestyle or whatever is comfortable to you, whatever abundance feels like to you, it's right there. So for some people, that's a cool, $1,000 every 2 weeks. For somebody else, no, I need like $7,000, monthly salary, something like that. The dollars and cents is like not the point. What is comfortable to you? What is abundance to you? What it means to be self-sufficient to you, you will have it. That's what that feels like. Now, again, it's because of what you do down here. What else is because of what happens on the lower level is the Three of Wands. So some of you might be able to get back out and, not necessarily celebrate because maybe your actual birthday will have passed, but I feel as though this is actually, I mean, you kind of see this person looking out over the water at that boat. Three of Wands indicates some type of travel in many, not many, but can indicate, thank you, can indicate travel when we encounter in the tarot, okay? So some of you are getting back out there, like most of us will when they say it's time to, we can open the doors. Can you imagine? And see, I don't want to make this political, but some people are like, just let us out, just do it, just, and other people are like, no, it's got to be like a slow rollout. Like, can you imagine if like one day, I'm talking like it's like so far away, but can you imagine if they said arbitrarily, hey, on May the 2nd, everybody's just, you can go back to business as normal. Do you know how quickly the world would like get into a tizzy as to rush all back out there at once? It's kind of what this energy, there's something here where to rush back out is just not the way. And I'm not an expert or anything like that, but I just don't see the sense in wanting to rush back out into the world. And I think you're kind of in that same energy. It feels like after all this time, if I'm going to make a move back out into the world, not only because of my physical safety or my health, just, I'm not used to it. So there's this, again, careful energy, planned energy of getting back out there and moving. Now, some of you, this is an actual physical move. As soon as you're allowed, you're going to move. Some of you. I mean, some of you, you might be able to do so right now, but because, like I said, you might have concerns over your health and your wellness, you might not be ready to move. But I do get the sense that some people are moving, like moving from an apartment to a house, moving from a house into a condo, moving from the city to the beach back into the countryside, whatever, moving to a whole new country or a whole new state, who knows? So for some, you get to move. Literally pack up, go somewhere else. And okay. For some of you, like you were doing that before Corona. You were doing that before COVID-19. You were doing that back in January. You could have been planning this for a long time. And then, and then this happens, right? Coronavirus hits. And now you've been stuck where you were planning to leave anyway. Oh, I'm not sensing that, but this is just an example that they're showing me. Like they're showing me like a breakup. They're showing me like a very embittered like domestic situation between parents and children, spouses, best friends, whatever. Bad blood is what they're showing me. And I'm not sensing that here. If it is, it's been squashed. Or if it is, it's not pertinent to the main story that we're talking about. But they are showing me like friction in a house. And some people have been pulled back into the friction because of everything that happened with quarantine, right? Once that's over, it's business as usual and you're getting the hell out of Dodge. So that's interesting. Now, what else is it? If it's not physical movement, if it's not, getting back out there into the world, hitting all the restaurants in 1 week, I know people are going to do this. I know there are people who are going to be doing this because we've all missed, going out to meals. Well, not all of us. Some people don't like it. But for those of us who do, I know people are going to be like Monday through Sunday for like 2 weeks. They're just going to go out to restaurants. They're just going to go out and have other people make their meals. I just know it. So maybe you're doing that. You might be planning, okay, where are we going Monday? Okay, and then Tuesday, and then Wednesday. Ooh, let's go to Cheesecake Factory on Friday. Or let's be basic and go to Fridays on Friday. Something like that, right? So if it's not that, for some, going back to where this might be new jobs, right? Where maybe you're making less than you did before, but there's potential with this company. There's something about, for many of you in terms of jobs, if you lost a job or you've been reduced in your workload, for those that are pursuing new work, I don't get the sense that you're going back to where you used to work. Some of you might, just, because that's probability and it's a general, but I get the sense that many of you are not going back to what you used to do. You're not going back to the job. You're not going back to the industry. Unfortunately, for a few, you're not going back to that salary just yet, but eventually you will. Because there's a lot of potential here. This Three of Wands is about potential. What may come, what dreams may come. Oh, that's interesting. Isn't that a lyric, what dreams may come, or is that like a poem or something? Anyway, there's like this huge emphasis on future, forward, forward, forward. What's down the line? What's down the road for me? What's down the road for my family and I? And I get this amazing sense of being, again, adaptation or adaptation, adapting. Is adapting a word? You're adept. Thank you. And yeah, I guess you would be adapting too. There's something about, okay, well, since that happened, oh, that's interesting. So, see, the Two of Pentacles, because it feeds the Two of Pentacles feeds the Three of Wands, and the Seven of Cups feeds the Three of Wands. So, some of you have been hit really hard financially, been really hit hard in terms of your stability, had to make those tough choices, had to turn off cell phones, had to let the car get late on its payments. And, maybe your car is now going to get repoed by the time this is all over. Who knows? And again, that is because you had to feed your family or, prioritize other bills in your life. If I'm not using my car, I'm going to use that money to pay for other bills. It just, for some of you, that is the logical sense it made, and that's the choice that you make, right? So there's this sense, though, that you don't want to repeat this, pandemic or not. I feel many Tauruses are going to be kickstarted, or there's like a switch that flips where never again do I want to, yes, see that's where this is coming from. It's coming from that Seven of Cups, where we were talking about food stamps and all that shit, and how somebody's just like, this is not for me, this is for poor people, and no judgment, That's not my opinion. That's the energy I'm able to channel through. Someone here, because of public assistance, because of loans, because they had to, even if you just had to ask a favor of a relative or a friend, and you ask for, hey man, I'm struggling, with everything. Do you think you could loan me $200? Like, there's a bit of pride in it, a little bit of ego and pride there, right? So that's where this Three of Wands is like, never again. Never again, whether it's a pandemic or whether I'm down on my luck, I never again want to have to ask either that person, the government, my family members, my job, my whoever. I don't want to have to ask anybody for anything. Self-sufficiency, right next door with the Nine of Pentacles. So there's a great pull for you to not repeat this ever again. So as quickly as you could get on, or as easily or as quickly as you're able to access the SNAP benefits, as quickly or as soon as that person loans you the $200, you're like, all right, I'm going to get this back to you as soon as possible. And it's like this whole thing of not being dependent on other people is really unattractive at this moment for some of you. This is very strong over here. To not be dependent on other people, to not ask for anybody else's help. There's like pride and ego about, I can take care of myself, I can take care of my family, I can take care of my kids. And someone's like, I don't need help. But then they take help. And as soon as they get that help, they're like, it's like burning their hand, like, I don't want this. Now, I'm not mocking, but it really feels like, and it's, human emotions are very complex. You're happy that you were helped. You're happy that this person stepped up and they were able to, help you along and pay a bill or again, get food in the house, whatever. You're happy that you live in a country or you live in a place where, getting the SNAP benefits is plausible, right? So there is this appreciation point. I don't want to minimize that. I do feel that there is this appreciation, but immediately after the appreciation, there is a bit of shame, guilt, personal disgust with yourself. Like, I am better than this. I don't need this. This is only temporary. And I kind of tried to encourage that earlier. This is not a life sentence of being deemed incapable of taking care of your own. This is temporary. So just view it as that. And I think like that's what that Three of Wands is. That was then what's next. I had to, for 2 months, 4 months, however long it will end up being, I had to ask people to help me. I had to be on government assistance. Now that that moment has passed, I want to ensure that this never happens again. So the Three of Wands, again, related to the Two of Pentacles, is about making plans and acting on them, right? Because the Pentacles, it's action oriented, or it shows up in a tangible way, it's physical, but actually having a goal and working backwards from the goal, like I want to go there. You work your way back, boom, 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 to where you are, right? It's like reversing the path, you know? So you might be crunching numbers. Literally, you might be looking at your checkbook, looking at your Excel spreadsheets, and you're like, okay, after 2 months of employment, we ran through $8,000 of savings. Just arbitrary numbers I'm pulling out here. I'm not mathematically inclined at all. But let's just say you know that. After 2 months of unemployment, we ran through $8,000 of savings. So that means we have to essentially double or, triple or whatever you want to do to avoid having to ask anybody for help. Because after 2 months and $8,000, here we are sitting with this small business loan. Here we are sitting on food stamps. Here we are facing eviction. Here we are facing whatever, right? Never again. The Three of Wands is a never again energy for you today. Very interesting. I think you're going to be able to do it because that Nine of Pentacles is very strong as well. You're going to have a job. You're going to be able to put food on the table and take care of your expenses. But at the same time, and that makes sense. The Nine of Pentacles isn't a card or isn't an energy that says I'm giving and I'm abundant and just like take all of me, take all of my resources. No, the Nine of Pentacles does not overspend. The Nine of Pentacles does not live outside of their means, whether they're male or female. I don't care, anything about your socioeconomic standings, right? What is rich to you is not rich to the next person, and so on and so forth. So it doesn't mean you have money out the ass. It doesn't mean that. It just means you know how to live within your means. You don't push past your limits. You don't push past your financial boundaries, right? Wow. Interesting. So your sixth position, Taurus, it's a wish, but it comes from the universe. It comes from source. It comes from spirit, God, whatever you believe in or don't believe in, right? It's sort of like a gift, but it's something that maybe you're not consciously aware of, or it's coming to you because you need it, right? And it is the Ace of Pentacles, which you already saw, but I like to build up a little bit of a story before I reveal the card. And again, it's mostly, I align it to the energy of a wish because this is sort of like a towered, quote unquote, cake because it's your birthday. So when you put it at the top of a candle, when you put it at the top of a cake, you put a candle there and you blow it out and you make a wish on it. So what do you want deepest, 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 beyond any, what do you desire more than anything that anyone would even know about? Because when you make a wish on a cake, you're supposed to keep it a secret, right? Ace of Pentacles, new starts, new foundations, new money. This has been such a material reading for you. And it makes sense. You're an earth sign, you're very much in tune with pentacle energy, right? So it makes sense that this would kind of be thematic for you. But more to the point, it feels like, come on, work with me. There you go. More to the point, it feels like you want security. You want stability. This particular depiction of the Ace of Pentacles, for those of us who are familiar with baseball, I'm not a baseball fan, but I know a little bit about it. This card mimics the home base for me. So some of you want home, right? You want your own home. For those who had been moving out, like you're on your way to moving out, boom, here you go. I'm moving out. I'm packing my bags, Jim. Goodbye. And I'm not trying to laugh because I don't know why you're moving, or I don't know what the issue is with whoever you're trying to move away from. But some of you are like, literally, I need to get out of this house. I need to get out of this apartment. I need to get out of this town, whatever. So boom, there you go. That's your deepest wish, is to have something stable and secure that belongs to you, solely to you. Could be that. Could be, it doesn't even have to be, there we go. That's a deeper, or not deeper, but that's a different one that we can read this. For some of you, this isn't necessarily about you want to move away. Some of you have property that you own with another person, right? So you might have a realty business, or you may have started flipping houses with a partner or something like that. And, Corona really took a swipe out of your business, right? So now maybe you just want to sever ties and have your own business, not necessarily your own home, but your own business. You don't want to partner with anybody. Which again, look how it's tied together, friends. What feeds into that? Nine of Pentacles feeds into it. Three of Wands feeds into it. These are two very solo concerned energies. This is not to ignore or say that anybody who has friends and family that they're close with, this doesn't apply to you. But for those where you share something with someone else, whether it be a home or a business or anything like that. Finances could just be finances. It could be, it could be some of you, and I'm laughing because, this, my sense of humor is, I can laugh at anything, but it could be that some of you shared finances with a person over the last couple of months, and you can see, oh, you spend too much money. Oh, we did not have to spend $8,000 out of the savings, but because you don't know how to cope well in a quarantine, we got deliveries from Amazon practically every day, even though they were backed up for 2 weeks. What are you doing, Barbara? Okay, you see what I mean? So there's something here of whatever you want, a house, a business, money, security, job, finances, whatever. You want it to be yours and yours alone. You want to secure it for yourself. Or, thank you. For some, this is about securing your children, you and your children. No children are here, by the way. Like, there's no card of children here, but logic says, probability says some of you have kids, and this has been difficult for you, whether you're a single parent, co-parent, you live with someone, or you're married, it doesn't matter. Some of you have a real intention on having it be secure, locked down, solid for the sake of your children. That could be, again, directly to finances. That $8,000 or however much was in the savings account possibly could have been funds for the children's future. Some of y'all, that was tuition money, right? Not even for college. Could have been for a private middle school or private junior high or something like that. You're like, oh, next year you're going to a private school. You're saying this in January 2020. Next year you're going to private school. In September, you're going to go to private school. Not anymore, my friend. We had to blow through that cash in order to keep the house. Something like that. And those are tough decisions that you had to think about and have a new perspective on. And now you don't know the ramifications or the outcome, or what are the long-term consequences, or what's the long-term fallout of making that choice. So now you get back to square one. We got to start all over again, building up junior's tuition. You see what I mean? So there's this very, very plain wish from you towards the universe, towards God, towards whatever you believe in or don't believe in, that says, listen, I don't want to repeat this for nothing, pandemic or not. A cold Tuesday where possibly a snowstorm rolls through in the winter of 2020. I don't want to have to lose any money. I don't want to have to lose time from my job. I don't want a job where I could be laid off or fired so easily. I need a better job. I need something that's more predictable or stable for myself. You see what I mean? Wow. I feel it'll happen because, again, I think you're putting in the work. The notorious laziness or languid, is that the right word? That might not be the right word, but there's like a stereotype that Taurus is lazy. I don't find that to be true. As a Leo, I'm defending you because Leos get it too. I think what people misunderstand about Tauruses and laziness is it's like, no, Taurus cuts out a time for themselves to relax, to luxuriate, to revitalize themselves, as anybody should. Like, what's the purpose of just being a workhorse all the time? What's the purpose of just going and going and going and going and being like you're the Energizer Bunny? Like, go sit down, have a Mai Tai and shut up and like relax, So I get the sense that the time for relaxing is not now. You know that. You know this. You've analyzed it. I can't rest. I can't be in my lazy Taurus phase. I got to go to work. Either literally, you might be an essential worker out there in the middle of this pandemic. You might be putting out resumes, 15 resumes a day, trying to find a job because you just got laid off, whatever. Like, I don't see a lazy person here. I don't see somebody who's just like wanting things handed to them. You have put in so much work and it will benefit you. Let's get you an oracle card, because I don't know why, and I feel like you might need to defend yourself to somebody. Well, all you do is do X, Y, and Z. Excuse me, Ted? Excuse me, Melissa? Excuse me, Randy? I feel, again, it's probably over here with that Seven of Cups. Some of you are being criticized, and I don't think it's necessarily fair. So let's just move on to the oracle, please. Which deck for Taurus's oracle card? Please show me. If you can hear that, I sometimes run my hand over the decks to see which one they want. We're between two decks, I think. Yeah, magical spell cards. Woo, woo, woo. Oh, and I didn't announce it at any point in my intro because it's still kind of new. But if you made it this far, Taurus, follow me on Instagram. I guess no, I'm not going to put it. This is like so far into the video. I'm not going to put it at the end here, but I'm on Instagram. And I thought of that because this is where I normally read oracle cards, is on Instagram. EmpathicFire Tarot over there if you want to follow me. Link is in the description box below. Well, let's get an oracle card for Taurus, please, during their birthday season. Message for Taurus from this oracle deck, please. Messages that Taurus needs to know most, coming from this oracle deck, please, and thank you. And again, guys, I will be reading live for you guys, probably in about 2-3 weeks. So what's that? Somewhere in May, towards the middle of May. I will announce the actual date on my community tab. So again, subscribe so you can see when that's actually announced. Or just catch me if you can. Message for Taurus during their birthday season. Please show me. God bless any person with smaller hands than mine that wants to shuffle oracle cards. Show me the card, please, for Taurus. Oracle message for Taurus. Show me. Yep, thank you. Let's see. Look at me. I'm just changing how I do stuff all over the place. Sensuality. That's you. You guys are sensual. Your freedom flowing from far away. I dance, I love, I laugh, I play. Sensuality. Card 21. If you reduce it, it's a 3. Ooh, wow. And I turned right to it. All right, so let's read a little bit. Mermaids are celebrated for their sensuality, their sovereignty, their beauty, and their freedom. They revel in their desirability, and we are going to work with them in this powerful, liberating spell. If this spell has chosen you, be reminded that it is safe to explore and celebrate your sensual self. Your sexuality is yours to celebrate, explore, and share and adore. The universe does not punish us for being who we are, yet many of us carry conditioned guilt from religions and families who have feared punishment for the enjoyment of our own sensual selves. The universe wants you to know that your sensuality is sacred and that allowing its power to be expressed is part of being alive. Your sexuality is part of your divine nature. There is no shame in desiring, all up on the screen there, excuse me. There is no shame in desiring, being desired, and yet remaining sovereign. If you have chosen the spell, you may be aware that you have some issues around your sexuality. Many people feel guilt around sex. This is not anything new. Guilt and shame disconnect us from a great source of self-love, energy, power, and worth. This spell will assist you in expressing yourself sensually, becoming freer and less concerned about judgment. You will be able to revel in sensual enjoyment without obligation, cost, loss of freedom, or guilt. Be free and happy in your sensual, sovereign self. Okay, so it's speaking so specifically about sexuality. However, if you were here the whole time, friends, you will recall that I was saying someone feels guilty about handouts. Someone feels guilty about possibly being on public assistance or taking loans, personal or from the government, what have you. So that is where I think that fits in. That might be a direct additional message to someone who has issues, as it was saying, surrounding sexuality or their sensual, physical body or whatever. So there is a spell. I'm going to hold it up to the camera because I don't do spell work, but some of you might be mages and sages and whatnot. So this is the spell. Possibly you can pause it and read. If I can get it to focus. Come on, be a pal. Be a pal. Oh, there he is. So that's the spell. If you want to pause it and look at it, you can have it there forever on your computer screen or tablet or phone, whatever. But yeah, so regardless of sex, I think that was talking specifically about being shamed, kind of what I touched on for a microsecond, due to conditioning, previous generations, possibly restrictive or conventional beliefs about what a person who is independent and self-sufficient is supposed to do versus what you might have to do given the situation that you're in, right? So I think that was more what that was talking about. But if it was specifically to your sex life or your sexuality, you know that, I don't know that. And that's the and that's the end of it, okay? Taurus, again, friend, happy birthday. I hope you have an amazing day, night, and year, and month, and whatever during your season. If you want that personal reading, if you would like one to purchase one, go ahead and look down in the description box. All the information is there. Again, the Instagram link is down there as well. My friends, I will see you guys very soon. I will be doing your mid-Aprils. Those are coming out because we're still in April when I record this. So you have that to look forward to. You've got your May readings. This is your birthday message. And then you do have your live, which I think, again, I'm going to put probably about 2 weeks from now, maybe even 3 weeks from now, usually on a Saturday, sometimes a Sunday. But if you want to be here for that, again, look for me to announce it on my community tab, okay? And probably on my Instagram as well, all right? All right, Taurus, I thank you so much for watching. Take care. Bye.